Okay, today let's begin at the Mishnah on Ayin Testament base 79b. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. And then there's Chosar learning which have the base of Mikdash immediately. And how's your rabbits doing? Holding up?
Still.
And we're learning the Nishmas and the Talmud Sabbath Mitzian. And for Shleim, everyone that needs for Yisrael and for the hostages. Right, so okay, here's the Mishnah. You have a murderer that's now mixed up with other people. And so we'd like to kill the murderer, but we can't kill the other people that are there. That's maybe they're innocent people, maybe not. We'll see in the Gemara how to explain this. Well, kulam peturim, we can't kill other people just because there's one murderer there. Right? That's not how it works. So they're all exempt. Rabbi Yehuda says no. You bring them all into a kippah, it's like a pan or something, a cell, and then you feed them barley until their stomach bursts. Basically, they die, but not with a death penalty. They just die from whatever nutrition they have. They die from other causes. Good morning. So, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if this is innocent people, this is really a strange thing to do. Just because there's one murder there, you kill the other people. You not kill them, but you cause them to die. That would be a little strange. Okay, any people that have the death penalty on them, and they get mixed up one with the other, you give them the lighter punishment, not the stricter punishment. So, for example, on a skalam ben esrafim, let's say people that were deserving of skila, which means stoning, and they got mixed up with a bunch of people, or one person that's 5 skila gets mixed up with a bunch of people that are supposed to be burnt. Well, Reb Shimon, Reb Shimon, who holds that burning is more severe, so he says we give them the lighter punishment, we give them the stoning. He says because streifa is more strict. Say no, give them the lighter punishment of streifa, of burning. Because skila is more strict. Okay, you always go for the lesser punishment. And as the Gemara is going to explain, and Rashi speaks out, that when the person was warned, it's going to have to, the Gemara is going to say that he was warned stam. But, okay, just for simplicity, that would work. Or it would have to say something like, when you get warned for something more severe, and included in the more severe is the lesser one as well. So therefore, that's included. It's like included in the 200 is the 100. So included in the stricter punishment is also the lesser punishment. So that was part of it. You're going to get the death penalty. If we would just keep it as stamped, we don't have to tell them exactly which death penalty. That would be the easiest. Maybe the other way would have to say that it's included in that as the lesser punishment. Okay, Amalem Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says to the Chachamim, you saying that skila is more strict, how could that be? If streifa, which is burning, is not more strict than skila, stoning, then why would they give the bas kayan, the daughter of the kayan, that's either married or betrothed, she gets the punishment of streifa? Why would we lessen her punishment? Right? Regular woman gets skila. She's married. And she's going to get streifa. We're lessening her punishment because she's the daughter of a kohen. It must mean that streifa is stricter. And what did the Chacham say back to that? Amrulai, they responded back to Reb Shimon, if skila wasn't the strictest, then we wouldn't have given it to the person that's blasphemous or worships idols. That must be the most strict punishment. Okay. Next example. Let's say people that are supposed to get the sword, capital punishment, get mixed up with people that are supposed to get strangulation. Reb Shimon says you give him the sword, which is less strict. Chama say you give him strangulation, which is less strict. There's machlekes also about this. Which one is stricter, the sword or the strangulation? That we had back in that Mishnah 30 pages ago, something like that. Okay. Gemara asks, we said that if one murderer gets mixed up with other people, what other people are you talking about? Where there's going to be a machlekes now between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda, what we're going to do to this group of people. Some say you do nothing. Rabbi Yehuda says that they're all going to die because they're going to be put into a cell and be fed barley till their stomachs burst. If you want to say, yeah, that was magical. This was not magical. That was miraculous. This is the way the barley works. If you say that those people are kosher people, they did nothing wrong, they're innocent. Kosher means innocent over here. Then pshita, of course, the sages say that that everyone is pater. Can't kill people just because there's someone else that's mixed in with them. We don't know who it is. Besu, and also, Rabbi Yehuda is going to say that we kill him, innocent people. How could that be? So we have a question on both sides. We have a question in the Tanakama, you're not telling me a chiddush. In Rabbi Yehuda, it's impossible to say what you're saying. Simin Basra. Amar Rabbi Vo, Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Vo says the name of Shmuel. We're talking about that when there was, we have like a cell, a prison cell. We're holding the people to give them the death penalties. And we put this guy that we didn't finish his court case, we put him into that cell. We're going to finish the verdict, but we didn't. We already accepted the witnesses and everything, and we know that he's guilty, but we didn't say guilty. We didn't pass the judgment. So we put him into there. So now it comes time like, okay, case number 27, step out. No one steps out. It's mixed up with these guys. Doesn't want to step forward. They don't know who he is. They're all covering up for each other. So Rabbanan hold Rabbanan say we can't conclude the case because we don't know which guy is the one that we're talking about. You can't just stand them all there and say we don't know who it is. One of you is guilty of murder, and we're about to pass the verdict. We don't know who it is though. Even though they're all guilty of murder, but we don't know which one we're talking about now. Hilkach Kohen Peturim. So we have to exempt him because there's one guy in there that's we can't judge. We can't judge him. There's one guy. He saves the whole group. Rabbi Yehuda says Mifterino legamri namila. We can't exempt him. Given the reitzchem because they were all murders. But we have our ways. We'll take care of this. We'll do the business. We'll take care of this. It won't be exactly the way the court normally does things, but we'll make sure that they don't get away.
Would it be the same if the person gets intermingled after the verdict?
If it's after the verdict, no, then they can kill him.
But if he gets mixed, like the same
But
thing.
they're all guilty of the same punishment. Just kill them all. Here, the verdict wasn't passed yet. So he will be guilty, but the question is: are you allowed to pass the verdict when you don't have the guy standing there, the defendant standing there? But you just have a bunch of people there, so we don't know which one it is. But you're all the same anyway. Are you allowed to do that? So the Rabbanan hold no. Rabbi Yehuda says, nevertheless, even though you can't do that, but we have our ways.
Could you just remind me the halacha? I mean, when they found a piece of meat in the marketplace, and the majority of the stores were not kosher, what's the halacha on that?
So majority is not kosher, then the meat isn't kosher.
Meat in the kosher. So why is this case not the same as this? If we already know that everyone there except for him has been convicted, now we find him technically because he has not been convicted. Why don't we just say he's convicted?
Okay, so I don't say, Dr. Stein is asking, why don't I say batal berayv?
He wasn't in jail for no reason. We didn't keep him overnight for no reason. Or do we say we kept him overnight because we weren't sure that he was guilty?
So you can't say batal berayv by an item, by these types of items. Once it becomes nullified.
I knew that was just testing. Just want to see if it was
This is what someone said. He borrows money. He said, "Give me, lend me $100." He takes his $100 and he puts it into his wallet where he has a bunch of $100 bills. Says, the guy's pay me back. He says, "No, your $100 was batal and not my $100." So, okay. So we did the answer from Rabbi Bo. Now we're up to Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish said, you see, we have a problem here. Problem is that we're saying that there was a person that's a murderer. The sages say we can't give him the punishment because he's mixed in with other people. Rabbi Yehuda says, well, we're going to kill him anyway. Now we have a problem here. If we say that they're all murderers, so then why don't we kill him? So we say, well, but this one is not really a finished. His verdict isn't finished, so we can't get it. So Rabbi Yehuda says we're going to kill them all anyway. If they're innocent, then how could Rabbi Yehuda say that we kill them? It must be that they're guilty. But it's very hard to resolve what the scenario is because we have different sides to this that don't match. Well,
this is assuming that they have different ways of
no, murder is always science. Murder is always by the sword.
even though everyone else was
Yeah,
already
but
tried.
this one didn't have his verdict yet.
This is the same day or overnight.
So it could be that it was the next day, right?
But then we don't know. Here comes the shine because
No, it
when
could
you
be the
say
same day.
sleeps overnight, you think about it,
Right.
and you come to a new verse. That would go
Right.
better with this.
Right. Right.
Maybe he really wasn't guilty.
Or maybe they're taking the vote now and they want to paskin, but they can't because they don't know who the guy is. Rish Lakish says, Badam, the Kuliyama lay pligi to Patrick. If it's people, then everyone will agree that he's pater. Because he can't just kill innocent people because there's a murderer there. Over here, there's a different machlekes. Over here, the machlekes is with an ox that killed a man. The rule is that you have to stone the ox. It's called the shara nisko. The ox gets stoned. Well, we don't know which ox it is. And there's a bunch of oxen that killed other people. And they're all standing over there in the pen. And we're saying, the ox that we're judging right now needs to come out and stand in court. Right? And the rule is, Rabbanan Savri, Rabbanan hold, that the same way we kill the ox, the same way we kill the owner, that's how we would kill the ox. Now, in this case, we don't kill the owner, but the way we would kill the owner in a murder case, we would have to have the person standing there. So too, we have to have the ox standing there. We don't know which one it is. So therefore, kulam peturim. We have we save all the ox. Yeah, ox wouldn't come out. Dr. Stein said he's an action.
That's a different running.
Rabbi Yehuda Sava kaints nice to the keeper. Rabbi Yehuda says that even though we have a mitzvah to do to stone the ox, but because we can't do it, because we can't have the verdict, because we don't have the ox standing there, but we have our other way of killing them, and we'll feed them the barley.
You know the way they take these guilty people and they make them look good in the suit. So this action is definitely,
Same
they put a kippah on them. So they, they say, "Well, no, I'm a short time." I don't know, the coffee must have been too strong.
Like the sign saying they put a kippah on the ox instead of putting the ox into a kippah.
Sorry.
Remember that little thing, a picture of a yarmulke on it years ago, and it said on it, "Am I my brother's kippah?"
Yeah.
Remember that?
It's
Okay.
actually the name of
As long as Rennie's keeping it under 20 seconds, we're fine.
Okay. Is it culminative?
Well, see how many.
Cumulative. I'm a Rava. Rava says, Yachi, Aina Diktani Allah says, Rava, he's saying that I have a problem with this, but whether you say like Rabbi Bo in the name of Shmuel, whether you go like Rish Lakish, Rabbi in the name of Shmuel, that they were all murderers. Rish Lakish says we're dealing with oxen here, we're not dealing with people. Whichever way you take this, I have a brisa that elaborates on this Mishnah, and and the brisa is not going to fit with those two explanations. The brisa adds in some details that the Mishnah doesn't give, and that brisa gives us clarity that that's not the case. It's not the explanation the way Shmuel, Rabbi Vo, name of Shmuel, or Rish Lakish said. The brisa says, "Amar Rabbi Yasi." Rabbi Yasi says, "Afilu Abba Chalafta b'neim," even if Abba Chalafta, Rabbi Yasi's name was Rabbi Yasi ben Chalafta. So his father is Chalafta. He says, even if my father Chalafta was there. Now, 1 second. If we then the same halacha would apply. Now, 1 second. If we're dealing with murders, then I don't care what his name is. If they're all murderers, then whatever the halacha is by murders, it doesn't matter who's there. If we're dealing with oxen, so what does he mean? Abba Chalafta is there. We're not Abba Chalafta is not an ox. So it can't be Rish Lakish. And it doesn't make sense according to Shmuel, Rabbi Von name Shmuel. So what does it mean? Elama Rava says, I'll explain it according to the Brisa. Hachi Kamer. There's two people that are standing there, and one of them shot an arrow of Harag and it killed. They're both exempt. We don't know who it was. Which one of you shot the arrow? The police show up. We got it on camera. We don't know from whose hand it came out of. We can't tell. So it's true. Rabbi Yasi says,
that's funny. You can't tell. William shot the arrow. William tell. Come on.
Where's Yitzi when you need him?
So Shneim Pturim, they're both exempt. Rabbi Yasi, listen to this, Gemara, you have to follow this. Rabbi Yasi, Afilo Abba Chalafta b'neim. Even if my father Abba was there, then I would still say that they're both pater. Now, even though Abba Chalafta is such a tzaddik, so obviously it wasn't him that shot the arrow, it was only the other guy. This is how they convict people. They say, we know it wasn't him because he's a good guy, it must be you. Right? Even though Abba Chalafta was it, but we still can't say that it must be you because we know that he's a tzaddik. And then it goes on. And the same as would apply to oxen that were mixed in with other very nice, docile oxen. They get we do skila on all of them. You hear this? Skila on all of them. We kill them. Now the explanation: how could you do skila on perfectly good right? The answer is because since there was one ox that was in there that's mixed in, and it's not batal, and therefore I can't have benefit from any of them. So there's no monetary loss from this anyway. So basically, they're all going to die without any benefit. So we fulfill the mitzvah of skila, which is what we're supposed to do to this ox. We'll just do it to a bunch of them. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, we don't do that. We just bring them into a pen. But Tanya, we have a proof. We have a source for this.
Does anybody say that Abba Chalafta was not his father because, and I know there's a comment here by Rabbi Kiva Eger, that he wouldn't refer to his father by his first name, but does anyone say that he really meant Abba, my father, Chalafta, like Nechlaf, was mistakenly put in there. And obviously, he doesn't
Hmm.
belong there.
I didn't see that, Sean.
I'm making it up. Just-
Uh, No, interesting. Dr. Stein is telling me about that he's saying his father's name, Alafta. What's Rabbi Kivega's question? What did they? I don't have it on the side of my Gemara.
Rabbi Yossi referred to his father by name in seeming violation of the law.
Yeah. So does he
So-
answer that?
Suggests perhaps this restriction does not apply when the son adds the title father, which is in the case. In other words,
Do they
he's
quote the
saying-
Gra? Do they quote a Bir Gra?
Aruch HaShulchan. Aruch HaShulchan is saying that's what's going on.
There's a Bir Gra. See, there's. I had a question. Gemara says, I think it was a Gemara Chulin, where it says that the Rambam quotes it. The Shechina departed from Yaakov, so he thought maybe there's a psul bizarre, maybe his offspring aren't kosher. There's something wrong there. Why did the Shechina leave him? So they said, no, Shema Yisrael Avinu, listen, our father Israel, Shem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That's the. Anyway, I had a question that how could they say Shema Yisrael Avinu, listen, our father Israel? He's not allowed to say his name. Can't call him by his name. So I remember I was asking a friend of mine. Who's over there? Is that Zalman? Yeah. So I was asking, I don't know if you remember Shmari in Los Angeles. So Shliach there, Zalman. Anyway, like how could the Rambam write it? It was that day's Rambam or something. Anyway, there's a guy walked in. There's a guy, like a homeless guy that was like a shtickle Talmud Chacham, but he lived in his car. Anyway, he walked in. He says maybe what the Rambam means is because b'makom sheish chil Hashem ein chalkin kavod l'rav. There's a possibility that there's a chil Hashem, you don't give respect to just a teacher. You know, you have to stand up. So he was trying to say that it could be maybe they had a doubt about Hashem. So you don't, in such a situation, you don't give respect to their father. Anyway, it's a nice teretz. But according to this, they said Shema Yisrael Avinu. They added the word Avinu. That's the answer. According to that Gra, according to the Abba Chalafti. You see, Rabbi Yossi says Abba Chalafti. No, this is a better teretz. If you add the name Abba, if you add the word Abba, then you're allowed to say the father's name. Right? No, they were calling their father by his first name. Yisrael is the father.
Let me ask you, is it not possible that they knew their father's name as Yaakov?
Oh. Uh-huh.
Good question,
Why
Mike.
were they saying Yisrael?
Because that was a higher level. That was a name given by others, the Eibishter, the Malach, whatever. But the name that they knew and had the responsibility of covet was Taka Yaakov. That's how they were born. That's how they were raised until later.
Uh-huh. Saying when the father changed the name, that wasn't something that they had to refrain from.
I mean, obviously they accept it as the covet from the Eibishter. It's an honorary name, but lav dafka the given name. I don't know.
Maybe. No, it's a possibility. Something along those lines. Okay.
10 points, Moshe. 10 points.
We don't have a name for Moshe's book. What's his
10 points.
that's the name, 10 points. Okay. Rabbi, okay, Vatanya. Was that now the word Vatanya could mean Vada was taught in a brisa, which is usually a question, but over here the Vatanya is, and this is what was taught in a brisa, because the word Vaha could mean Vat, and it also could mean this. In Aramaic, it has 2 meanings. So this is not a question. This is what's called benichusa. This is said directly in a relaxed tone. The brisa says like this: let's say there was a cow that killed another. What did it kill? It killed a person, and then the cow was pregnant, and then it gave birth. So who was involved in the killing of this person? Was the whole cow, including the fetus. If it gave birth before the verdict, then blood of mutter. The offspring is mutter. The cow, you're going to have to stone. But the offspring is mutter. If it gave birth after the verdict, then blood of aser. then the vlad, even the offspring, is also because when we gave the verdict on the cow, we say uber yerachimai, the fetus is like another limb, it's like the arm or the thigh of the cow. So the verdict goes on the fetus as well. What happens if they all get mixed in one with another? We don't know what's what. So kind of nice lakipa, then we can't do the regular verdict, which we would do skila on all of them. Rather, they die by feeding them the barley. Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon, I'm Ravina, I said the bezdin v'seikel and Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon says no, we do skila on all of them because it got mixed in and they're all usher to have enough from. So we can do skila on all of them. Well,
this to this case where an animal was dead and its blood was dead next to it. The question was whether or not it didn't go through. Right.
yeah, that's the Gemara with Shoshanaga Chasapara named Rabbi Tzida.
Yeah. What was the maskana there?
Over there, that was the machlekes with Sumchus, I think.
Also machlokes.
Over here, you see, it's very interesting. The opinion of Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon is more clear. Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon would be the opinion of the Tanna Kama. The opinion of Rabbi Yehuda over here is the Tanna Kama. It's the switching opinions in this brisa. But the concept is that there's two opinions. One says that we can allow to carry out the skila. Another opinion says we can't carry out the skila, but we do cause it to die. There's a question that's asked. Why shouldn't we do the mitzvah of skila, which is the way the prescribed death penalty execution for what the Torah says? What does it harm? Why is there any benefit to having it die by eating barley than by doing skila? By doing skila, it'll fulfill the mitzvah and it's going to die. And eating barley, it's going to die. But why should we give up on that mitzvah on the prescribed form that's supposed to be done? Anyway, that's okay. Amar Mar. One of the things we mentioned in passing is imach nigmar dina yolda, if the cow gave birth before the verdict on it that it needs to be put to death, it gave birth already. So this fetus escapes from the death penalty, vlada muteris. Then the fetus is the offspring is permissible. 1 second, but the offspring was there, the fetus was there at the time of the goring. It was involved in the murder. Talking about a sacrifice. You're not allowed to bring a sacrifice, an animal that a sin was committed with it, whether it was a murder, or whether it was bestiality, or one of those sins. You can't bring this animal now as a sacrifice. It's been ruined.
Or for avodah zarah.
Or if it was worshipped or something. Well, so now it says he that he was involved in the goring. So why are you saying that it's going to be mutter? It should be asr. Blood on your bas, the same thing. If there was an offspring of an animal that was a human lived with it, so it would also be asr. Because it and its offspring were lived with. And because we say uber yerachima, it was part of it, was part of the sin. Ema, so the Gemara adjusts the brisa. Who was quoting the brisa Rava. The Gemara adjusted im achle nigmar dina ibra v'yalda. What happened over here was that it became pregnant after the goring, and it gave birth before the verdict. So it wasn't there by the goring, it wasn't there by the verdict. It got out of it. It avoided both issues, the goring and the verdict. Imish nigmar dina abra v'yalda. But if it was after the Gemar din, then vlada asr. Then we say that it's asr because this was born directly, a direct cause of something that was prohibited. It's the offspring of a prohibited animal. This would fit according to the opinion that says that this and this, when you have two causes to something, two things that are causing, then we say that if one of them is permissible and one of them is not permissible, we say it's still it's prohibited. We say that it's prohibited, then fine. Here the mother is prohibited, but the father was a regular animal. But according to the opinion that says if you have two causes to something, we say that it's permissible. So why should it be prohibited here? Just because the mother wasn't good, but the father was good. Ravina says, okay, that we said before. If became pregnant after the goring but before the verdict, then we say that it's permissible. It wasn't there by this, it wasn't there by that. But if before the verdict it became pregnant, and after the verdict it gave birth, then vlada asa, then we say that it's prohibited. Not that it was conceived after the verdict. It was conceived before the verdict. So it was still permissible then. But it was there at the time of the verdict. And so the verdict was on the mother and on the offspring. So that's the Bryce is telling me, Uber Yarachimai, that the fetus is part of the mother. It's considered just another organ, another limb of the mother. So the verdict goes on that as well.
We use that same thing with a woman who's miscarried, who's pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, over there.
She goes in the mikveh, the blood before he's born.
Yeah, it's not perfectly like that, but yeah.
Close.
Close enough. Please
forgive my counsel. That's usual.
I was saving a cat.
Well, he went.
By the way, Yetzi's here. Okay.
You want to start from the beginning?
Okay.
The sheriff.
One of the things we said in the Mishnah was anyone that was deserving of a death penalty that got mixed in with other people that were deserving of the death penalty, then you're going to give the death penalty to all of them to the lesser death. You're going to give the lesser death, the least severe death penalty.
Is this that includes someone that like I guess gives malchus to someone and each person does it, and then the last person kill him? Do the other ones have a hand in that? We spoke about that.
Now we spoke before. Here, what we're saying is, let's say there was a bunch of people that this one was deserving skila, this was the streifa, this one was hereg, and this one was chenek. Each one different types of punishment. They're all mixed in. They're on death row. And they say, okay, but they all switch clothing, and they, and then we don't know who's who. We're all going to give them the least severe punishment, which is machlekes. Yeah, we always follow the. So Shimon doesn't get the halacha off. That's my assumption. Okay. So it goes like this. We see from this that when they warn the people, they warn them, you're going to get skila if you continue with this. And they said, I don't care. And then in the end, we're not going to give them skila, we're going to give them streifa because another guy with streifa got mixed in. So, but we never warned them for streifa. It says it doesn't matter because included in skila is also the lesser punishment. Included in the 200 is the 100. The Gemara says, and he says you have no proof. Really, what we're talking about over here, he warned them you're going to get a death penalty. Which one? That we'll have to look up in the book that has all the death penalties for each sin. Okay. Tanya was following the following brisa, author of the brisa. It says, there is a comparison here. In the brisa was comparing the mesis, someone that's convincing other people to worship idols, to anyone else. And it says like this, that anyone else in the Torah, we have to have 10 people there. We need to have the witnesses there. They need to be warned, and they have to be told that they're going to be chayav mitzvahs pesach. As opposed to the mesis, which doesn't need to be warned. The person, that mesis. So, okay. Now, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Achiadu, Be'ezim Misu Nereg. Rabbi Yehuda holds, not only does everyone else need to be warned, but they even need to be told exactly which death penalty they're going to get. And Tanakama Yalafim Makashis, the Gemara says, well, What we're talking about here is the opinion of the Tanakama. Where does the Tanakama come from? What's their source? They get it from the Makashis. The Makashis was warned. He was gathering wood in the desert on Shabbos. He was warned. They didn't know what death penalty to give him, but nevertheless he gets a death penalty. But they didn't tell him which one. So that's fine. That's still a good warning. Rabbi Yudaimer Makashis Rasha. Rabbi Yudah says that that was a special case, and you can't learn from that case.
Excuse me, why can't we learn from the fact that we said previously, if you can't kill somebody with the way you were supposed to kill, you can use another way to kill him because he's hybrid. So why doesn't anybody use that? Didn't we learn such a thing?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Reb Naftali, this one has really got to go in the book.
Okay.
No, good points don't go in the book. Ridiculous points.
Okay.
What was the point?
The other book.
Be a
He's
very,
saying
very long book.
that the Gemara said before that if you can't kill him with one death penalty for whatever reason, with the one that he's supposed to get, you're allowed to give him other death penalties. B'chol misa dashata yachol, right? Misa mikol makom. It was something the Gemara said. So we see already from that he doesn't have to be warned for the specific death penalty because b'di'evet you can give him other death penalties. So we'll say this is just a case of b'di'evet. Why do we have to learn from the Makoshesh? We have that other source. That's a very good point. Very good question.
Fine. 1 point, Maisha. 1.
Okay. And a skull and B'Nisra, I don't know the answer.
I hereby acknowledge the point.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the skull and B'Nisra, we said that if they get mixed up, people that were supposed to be getting the burning end up someone that is getting stoning gets mixed into them. So what do? We give them the lesser one. What's the lesser one? It's machlekes. Okay. Masni la Rabbi Yecheskel Rami Berei. Was a sage, Rabbi Yecheskel, that has a son by the name of Rami Bar Yecheskel. He has a son also that's much more famous than Rami Bar Yecheskel. His name is Rabbi Yehuda, one of the most common sages in the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Amarav. But the brother's name is Yecheskel. So Rabbi is Rami. The father is Yecheskel. So Rabbi Yecheskel is teaching Rami his son, and he says like this: Anisrafim b'niskalan. Someone that was supposed to get burnt gets mixed in with people that were supposed to get stoned. Reb Shimon says, you do a beskila, you give him the lesser one, skila, shasrefa chamor, because burning is more severe. Now the emphasis here is who got mixed in with who, which means who's the majority. The majority here is the ones that are getting stoned, but one person supposed to be burnt got mixed in. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says to his father, he says, Abba, don't teach it like that. There's a second Abba here, and don't teach it like this. Was on the Hey Aleph, then I would say Pa. It's like what you say the page that has the Pa, the father's on it, the Pay. Okay, maybe because the father Pay is better. So I'm like this Nehachi. Don't teach it like that. My area, the Shrefa Chamura, according to this, why do you have to say that it's because burning is more severe? That's why we're not going to give it to him. The way that you set up the scenario is that the majority were niskalim, were stoned, and that's why we're going to give him the stoning. So rather, how would you like me to teach it? It's exactly the opposite. That the majority were supposed to be burnt, and one person that was supposed to be stoned gets mixed in. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to do, according to Reb Shimon, we're going to do the stoning because that's lesser. Not because it's the majority. It's not the majority. And that would be much clearer. Rabbi Shimon, you do no beskila shasreifa chamura. Gemara says, "Yihachi emasefa." Let's go further. You only resolved half of this. If you finish off, it says, "You do no besreifa." The sages say that we give him sreifa, we give him burning shaskila chamura. But typically the Ruben Nisrafim. Well, how can you say that that's the reason? Because skila is more strict, and therefore we're going to give him sreifa. Maybe it's the reason why we're giving him sreifa is because the majority were nisrafim. So it doesn't fit with the sages. Umar says, Hasim Rabbanu the Kamalei Reb Shimon over there. It's just a response. The Rabbanan are just responding to Reb Shimon. L'didach darmet shreifa chamura. According to you, that you say that burning is stricter, and that's why you're going to give him skila. We say loy skila chamura. We say that stoning is stricter. Amalei Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda. So Shmuel says to Rabbi Yehuda, who's his student, says, "Shinina, sharp one, or buck teeth, right?" You shouldn't talk to your father like that. Tanya was taught in a brayso. If the father is violating something in the Torah, you shouldn't say to him, "Abba, Dad, you're violating what it says in the Torah." Rather, you should say to him, "Abba, this is what it says in the Torah." But you're basically telling him that he did something wrong. Rather, what you should do is you should say, "Abba, that there is a verse in the Torah that says this, and you let the father figure out on his own that what he did was, but you're not telling him that you did something wrong or you're violating the Torah. Okay. Someone that's guilty of 2 death penalties. We're going to give him the stricter one. This is the opposite of before. Before we're giving the more lenient one because that was 2 people were mixed up. Here, he did 2 sins. Which punishment should we give him? Give him the stricter one because he has to get the stricter one. It doesn't get less because you the price doesn't go down because you bought more, right? So let's say he does a sin that has 2 death penalties on it. For example, he lives with his mother-in-law that happens to be a married woman also. So he has the prohibition of the mother-in-law, which that was streifa, right? He has the prohibition of a married woman, which is skila. Yeah, or chenek, depends how married she was. Chenek. Yeah. So then, you're going to get the more stricter punishment. Rabbi Yossi No, Rabbi Yossi says, whichever prohibition came on this woman first, that's the one that's going to remain. The second prohibition came later. Remember, we had like this concept of stacking prohibitions one on another. Well, the first prohibition is the one that remains. Shita, obviously, we're not going to make a lesser punishment. What are you going to get a discount here because you did an extra sin, so now the punishment's going to go down? Rather, person did a lesser sin, and now he has a verdict on him that he has to get, like, let's say, strangulation. And then he does a more strict sin. So I could have entered your mind to say, since he's already has a verdict on him, he's already labeled that he gets the death penalty for one of the less strangulation or something. He's already a dead man. So what are we going to do? We're going to put a verdict on a dead man. We should leave it at that. That no, even though there's a verdict on him as a dead man, but we're still going to give him the more stricter one. I'm going to say like a treifa, shaharag. Remember we had those things. But we're going to say that he's going to get the more severe punishment. Boy minei avua de Rabbi Yosef bar Chama me Rabba bar Nasan. Rabbi Yosef bar Chama is
that goes against everything we said the last few pages. Because once we declared him a dead man, he's a dead man. It's hard. Because they'll see the best now the son say he's a dead man.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the difference is that over there he was a dead man because he was naturally a dead man. Over here, there's a verdict on him that he's dead, but he's not considered a treifa. He's not considered dead just because the Besdin said that he's dead.
we didn't have a case like that.
No. He was a treifa. He was punctured. Something in him was punctured. He was going to die with it. This is a different type of.
That man walked.
So Rabbi Yosef bar Chama is the father of Rabbah. So the father. Sorry.
Wait his point.
Okay, let's leave it right here by Boy Minei of Rabbi Yosef because it's going to take us down the page. So.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Good day.
Nice.
Kol tov.
Okay.